Tua Tagovailoa. Another year, another game, another concussion. There's a Hall of Famer, a Pro Football Hall of Famer, that says that we might have to throw in the towel here. We'll touch on that and more. You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on Roku TV via BS3, BS3TVLive.com, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You're listening to it live on RealWise Radio, and it begins right now. Well, good morning, shifters. It is great to see you once again. For the 100th time, this is BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. I am Cole Johnson. And for the next 60 minutes, just sit back and relax as we get and keep you informed, enlightened, entertained, engaged, and spiritually fed. Now, along with talking about Tua Tagovailoa, we're going to also touch on another quarterback. This one from the Browns. Former Texans quarterback, current Browns starting quarterback, Deshaun Watson. He's in hot water yet again. We'll discuss those particulars as well. And in lighting the way, considering that this is the 100th show, I think persistence was a really good topic to touch on. So we're going to touch on how God thinks and what God thinks about persistence. All of that is for later. But for now, for the 100th time, let's start you up. And here's what's taking place in the world today. The 14-year-old accused of shooting 4 people dead at Appalachian High School in Winder, Georgia, brought a gun to school in his backpack and hid it in the bathroom before he took it out and opened fire. Now, this was discovered by the Georgia Bureau of Investigation on Thursday. Now, the 14-year-old boy hid the whole gun used in the shooting into his backpack because it, quote, could not be broken down, close quote. The morning of the shooting, a teacher allowed the boy to leave class with the backpack after the boy asked to go to the front office to speak to someone. Then he took out the rifle, he opened fire, and then he was promptly arrested after he opened fire at 10:26 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. On that date. Lord have mercy. And the mama says he wasn't a monster. Come on, girl. I'm sorry. A Georgia judge threw out on Thursday 2 of 10 criminal charges against former President Donald Trump that had remained on his election racketeering case. Fulton County Superior Judge Scott McAfee ruled that the state prosecutors didn't have the authority to bring charges alleging Trump filed false documents and conspired to file false documents in a federal lawsuit he filed. Trump was initially indicted on 13 charges. McAfee earlier threw 3 of those charges against Trump. So the former president now faces 8 of the remaining 13. There's 8 of the 13 previously. Trump lawyer Stephen Sadow said in a statement that the ruling showed that Trump and his legal team, quote, have prevailed once again, close quote. Why do you have to sound like the Justice League? Goodness gracious. Oh, the Fulton County District Attorney Fannie Willis was reached for comment. None was offered. Hopefully she wasn't in Nathan Wade's house. I'm sorry. But that's not all about the news of the former president. He said yesterday he will not debate Vice President Kamala Harris a second time. And that drew criticism, of course, from the Democrats after he was put on the defense after Tuesday's showdown. Yay! We told you he was a coward. We told you he was a coward. C-O-W-A-R-D, coward. Yes, that's what Democrats are saying right now. Put down the pom-poms. Making his announcement in a Truth Social post, Trump criticized both Harris and President Joe Biden. Trump and Biden faced off June 27th before the incumbent dropped out of the race and Harris ascended to the top of the ticket. Not using his inside voice, Trump said, quote, Kamala, however the heck she pronounces her name, should focus on what she should have done during the last 4 years. 4 years. Period. It's been the worst presidency in the history of the country. There will not be a third debate. Look at my crowd sizes at the rallies. Biggest crowd rally sizes in the history of campaign rallies. I'm sorry. Close quote. Harris, of course, had a low-key response, telling supporters at a campaign stop in North Carolina, quote, we owe it to the voters to have another debate. Close quote. Harris' campaign called for another Trump-Harris debate just minutes after the last debate ended. Oh, and speaking of what happened in that debate and what was unearthed from there, officials in Springfield, Ohio closed Thursday's City Hall meeting after a bomb threat citing right-wing misinformation was issued to multiple facilities, the city said in a news release. The former president mentioned Springfield, Ohio, during the presidential debate when promoting a false rumor that migrants there are getting down eating people's pets. Local officials have previously confirmed the accounts are not true. Yes, we heard in the presidential debate a city in the United States have people eating pets in it. It was a bomb threat. I'm going to go on. The 58th Country Music Association Awards are fast approaching, and Beyonce Knowles Carter could be the first black woman to be nominated for Album of the Year thanks to her latest work, Cowboy Carter. CMA Awards are considered one of the most prestigious awards in the country music industry, and this year the awards will air live November 20th from Bridgestone Arena, right here in Nashville, in the country's music capital, of course. Fans are wondering if Beyonce will reach another milestone to make history as the first black woman to be nominated for Album of the Year. And as fans know, the superstar released her 8th studio album on March 29th and has made history ever since, breaking multiple records. Undeniably, Beyonce has been a huge catalyst for the recent spotlight on the black community as black country artists are prevalent and the genre's roots. Don Lemon lost his job at CNN, or did he? Quote, I didn't lose my job. My job lost me. Close quote. Mister, does this word offend you? Just keep walking. Lord have mercy. Anyway, Krispy Kreme, they're offering customers a dozen original glazed donuts for just 13 cents with the purchase of any dozen or 16-count minis at regular price. The company told USA Today. The offer is available today at participating locations with a limit of 1 dozen per customer in shop, and while ordering online for pickup or delivery via Krispy Kreme app and website using the promo code that is 13. Look, back to Don Lemon. Last year, in an attempt to call out Nikki Haley for his age bias against Joe Biden, Lemon said that Haley wasn't in her prime, saying, quote, she says politicians are not in their prime. Nikki Haley's not in her prime, sorry. A woman's considered to be in her prime in her 20s, 30s, maybe in her 40s. Close quote. Well, I'll put it this way, Mr. Lemon. You ain't in your prime no more. Go. It has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. It has everything to do with the brain matter that's in your head, which is lacking. And you call yourself a journalist. Get out of my face. The following sports update is brought to you by the Playmakers Blog Network. Don Lemon. Let's go to the NCAA, shall we? Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Fresno State. They all will now join the Pac-12. They'll officially begin being a Pac-12 member in the 2027 academic year. Now, the Pac-12 Board of Directors unanimously approved all of those applications from those now currently Mountain West schools. So the Pac-2 now will turn into the Pac-6 in 3 years. Impressive. To the Diamond, shall we? And Texas Rangers shortstop Corey Seager unfortunately had to undergo another surgery to repair a sports hernia. Now, of course, this will basically be a wrap for his season, and this will end the shortstop's third season with the reigning defending World Series champs, which that ain't gonna happen this year. Thank the Lord. I'm sorry. Staying on the same team, Rangers pitcher Jacob deGrom doesn't expect to get much sleep heading into his first start today. The two-time Cy Young Award winner will be on the mound in Seattle against the Mariners for his first start in 503 days. Now do something that you all normally don't do and beat the Mariners, Rangers. I digress. To the NFL. The Bills, they put a thumping on the Dolphins, 31-10. The score wasn't even that close. 3 first-half touchdowns by James Cook pretty much was all you need to know about this game, but you're going to know more about this game later. Turning our attention to weather across the country as brought to you by the Weather Channel. In the Pacific Northwest, shall we? It will be rain, and more rain. Now we get to the normal stuff that we always say Seattle is known for. A high of 67 will be there for today. Partly cloudy skies in Minneapolis. A high there will be 85. Partly cloudy in Chicago. The high there will be 83. Rainy in St. Louis will be a high of 78 there. Sunny in Detroit, high of 82. Going to the East Coast, it'll be sunny and 83 in Boston, sunny and 81 in New York. Partly cloudy and 83 in the nation's capital. Down south, there will be rain and thunderstorm to sun mix with a high of 89 in Miami. Sun and thunderstorm mix with a high of 77 in Atlanta. Rain and a high of 70 in Memphis. Partly cloudy and a high of 88 in New Orleans. And I'm thinking in Memphis, that's probably the remnants of Francine. Going down to the southwest, it will be partly cloudy skies, 99 degrees in San Antonio. Sunny skies in 95 in Dallas. Mostly sunny skies, also a high 95 in Houston. Over in the Rockies, it will be mostly sunny skies, a high of 84 in Denver. The hot spot of the country belongs to Phoenix, where you had a gain. The desert will be seeing sunny skies with a high of 104. It will be sunny and a high of 96 in Las Vegas. And on the West Coast, it will be partly cloudy skies with 80 degrees in Hollywood. Partly cloudy skies in the Bay Area with a high of 71. Now that is your look on weather for today, and now you have been properly started up. Coming up later. Tragedy strikes again, and a Pro Football Hall of Famer has something to say about it. That is our cover story. And in lighting the way, persistence. What does that mean in the Christian world? But coming up next, Deshaun Watson. You're watching BS3 presents the morning shift for Cole Johnson on Roku TV via BS3, BS3TVLive.com, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You're listening to it live on the Real Wise Radio. And we'll be back right after this. Lord have mercy. Another massage, another lawsuit. Oh, why? Commercial break.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.
Bruce Bernstein.
NBA people are the best people ever. Everything that I've ever wanted to do was always sort of pointed towards the NBA.
Daniel Jones, I don't listen. I wasn't sold on him in the beginning either.
Ben Sutter,
Dan Quinn. Like, he may not be the greatest head coach, but one thing we do know is that he can coach defenses.
Mirren Fader.
If I did a biography on Hakeem Olajuwon, this is the first true international superstar.
Looking for the up-to-date information in the world of sports? The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. Live every Saturday at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central. Life.
Scratching and clawing to overcome adversities in life.
Family.
That's what I love about our children. God instilled that in us, and thank God they carry on that torch.
Marriage.
We struggled in different ways, naturally, as husband and wife.
And God.
The Lord is on my side. I will not fear what man can do unto me.
Join the husband and wife team of Ben Southern Jr. and Irene Southern as they give you the full scope of life. BS3 Network proudly presents the Suds Are Us podcast, live every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central.
Come take a stroll with us. That's right. The HBCU stroll, that is. The lunch break, powered by JM&E, presents Coach Johnny Cole's HBCU stroll. Join him and a distinguished guest of his as they have you look at all through the landscape of the sports HBCU style. That's right. Coach Johnny Cole's HBCU stroll comes to you today and every Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. And you can see that on Roku TV via BS3 and the Jones Media and ENT YouTube channel. That is a lunch break powered by JM&E presents Coach Johnny Cole's HBCU Stroll. Live today and every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central on Roku TV. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, and the Jones Media and ENT YouTube channel. Now, games to watch this weekend. Alabama. They travel all the way to Madison as they take on Wisconsin. Kickoff there is at noon Eastern on all times of Eastern, on noon on Fox. You have Oregon renewing their civil war with Oregon State in Corvallis. Kickoff there is also on Fox at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, of course, 12:30 local time. And then you have Colorado going up against Colorado State. They renewed their rivalry. That game is on CBS. Kickoff is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. That is on Saturday. For Sunday, we have the Bucks going up against the Lions. Kickoff is at 1 p.m. in Detroit. We have the Bengals and the Chiefs. Kickoff is there at 4:25. That game is on CBS. And on NBC on Sunday night, it will be the Texans hosting the Bears. We get a chance to see Caleb Williams for the first time on national TV. Kickoff is at 8:20. Welcome back to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. I'm Cole Johnson, and if you feel the need and the itch to visit us and not just watch, all you do is go into the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. That's the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel, where BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson. Cole Johnson comes to you live every weekday. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button. Don't be ashamed or shy to do it. The lifeblood of the show is you. No question about that. You don't believe me? Here I go. The playmaker, going by his government. Morning shift. Morning shift.
Yeah.
Shift. Morning shift.
I like it.
Morning
Oh,
shift.
yeah, man.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. It says 100th episode. 100, episode 100. Hey. Playmaker also says, look, he did not spell out coward in cheering fashion. Tell me he did not just do that. Yes, I did. Because you know that's how these fools are. You know that's how the Democrats are. When they see anything that Donald Trump does in a negative. That's how they give me a C. I'm like, they just it upsets me that you have a culture of cheerleaders when it comes to the political landscape. Ryan McCarthy, no credentials required fame. He says, good day, fellow shifters. We're at 100 episodes already. Congratulations. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. From one dedicated content creator to another, I appreciate that from you. And from you, Playmaker, I appreciate you. Along with that, and of course, you're a big part of this as well, since you contribute to the show. So I totally appreciate you. And I shared that celebration with you, Playmaker. Now, this almost seems sports themed, but I wish I was talking more sports in general. Unfortunately, I'm not. Former Texans, current Browns quarterback, Deshaun Watson. Obviously, he could not keep his hand out of the cookie jar yet again. He is under another investigation with another lawsuit alleging another sexual assault charge. And in today's program Spotlight, we will discuss this one and probably the ramifications of what's going to take place with him thinking that he can lure masseuses into lewd acts. So the thought was he's supposed to focus on football, right? No, I don't think so. Deshaun Watson and the Cleveland Browns, well, on Wednesday, they pretty much did the same as normal teams would when a battle quarterback coming off a disastrous season opener met the media for the first time since he was accused in a civil lawsuit of the most sexual misconduct allegations directed at him yet, to spur a fresh, brand new National Football League investigation. Stupid. I'm sorry, my bad. Goodness gracious. The 28-year-old denied any wrongdoing, or as his attorney Rusty Harden said in the statement, strongly denies the allegations. And no, I've seen Rusty Harden a lot. I know how it sounds. Quote, strongly denies the allegations, close quote, as was the case 2 years ago when he reached out-of-court settlements with 23 of the 26 masseuses who alleged misconduct during massage therapy sessions. He also struck a deal with the NFL to serve an 11-game suspension that year and pay a $5 million fine plus undergo treatment and counseling. This show will not allow me to say what I really want to say, but I digress. In 2022, NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell echoed arbitrator Susan L. Robinson in characterizing Watson's behavior during the 15-month period of the fall of 2019 through the winter of 2021 as, quote, predatory, even though the quarterback never, as in this case too, faced any criminal charges. Now, Goodell has some serious background material to weigh if the league's investigation includes the new allegations have merit. Talk about a distraction. I mean, the Browns, they're led by the Hasms, Jimmy and D. They might as well be led by Air. They stuck with Watson during the previous drama and will again have to resolve tested. We'll have that resolved tested with the bad optics attached to the face of their franchise this time around. Kevin Stefanski, the coach of the team, maintained Wednesday that they didn't see this new case coming, which could be critical if the team tries to back out of the fully guaranteed $230 million contract they gave Watson when he was obtained from the Texans in 2022, and what now represents as one of the most lopsided trades in NFL history. Thank you, Haslams. I love you guys. But Air will be better of an ownership group than you. But I thank you for helping the Texans be better. And we thank you for getting off of our hands Deshaun Watson. I'm sorry. Watson also declared that it was news to him when the lawsuit was filed in Harris County, or Houston-ish, Texas, when it dropped on Monday. He said, quote, I found out exactly whenever everyone else found out. It began with a learner smartphone. Then I called my attorneys and asked them what it was, close quote. Well, what it is would be a plaintiff. This was identified as Jane Doe, alleging that Watson sexually assaulted her October 10th, 2020, at her apartment in Houston. The alleged incident occurring during the same period as the alleged serial massage therapy encounters did as well. Now, while Watson insisted on Wednesday that he had no prior knowledge of the new allegation, which seeks at least $1 million in damages, the prosecutorial attorney, Tony Busby, who also represented the other accusers as well, who reached settlements with Watson, issued a statement maintaining that attempts were made 10 months ago to strike an out-of-court settlement. And according to Pro Football Talk, Busby has indicated that his client will cooperate with all of the NFL investigation and will be available in approximately 2 weeks to be interviewed by the league, which could threaten to take the quarterback off the field yet again for potentially violating the league's personal conduct policy. I'm sorry. One moment. Rashee Rice played Tokyo Drift on I-35 in Dallas, yet he is still playing. But you're going to do a kind of detrimental to the league with this guy now? What's good for one should be good for all. Get Rice off the field now. We now returning to our regularly scheduled programming already in progress. There you go, NFL. Sort through all of this mess. Now, as the case of cops using excessive force in detaining Miami Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill outside Hard Rock Stadium isn't enough of a mess to steal a thunder from the grand opening of another season, suddenly the league is confronted with another high-profile matter which will weigh heavily on its own and other news cycles. Now, sure, there are key delicate questions like, I don't know, why wasn't there a criminal complaint? Was the demand for a 7-figure settlement related to other cases settled out of court? Why would Watson agree to a, quote, dinner, close quote, date or on the night before a game? Focus on football? That dude hasn't focused on football in many a year. Watson says otherwise, quote, I focus on football. I focus on keeping the main thing. And that's when I walk into this building focusing on being the best quarterback I can be, on the game plan and trying to be better than we were last week so we can get a W. Close quote. I'm sorry. No, fool, you focusing on the next massage. Not focused on any football, fool. Stop lying. I'm sorry. The following take that Deshaun Watson said that he only focused on football is brought to you by the letter. Focus on football. Oh, please. Now, as the head coach of the Browns puts it, quote, "We are 100% focused on Jacksonville, 100% focused on going on the road against a good football team, trying to find a way to get a W," close quote. No, you were focused on getting your butts whooped by the Cowboys this past Sunday. I'm sorry. While it's been maintained by athletes dealing with off-field crisis that they find refuge in engaging in competition as a familiar coping mechanism, it strikes many of us as condescension. You know, it's condescending for Watson and the Browns to suggest that his situation can easily be compartmentalized. I mean, this isn't like the sudden loss of a loved one. It's another sexual misconduct allegation. One that actually I heard worded as sexual assault. Sure, there is much to discuss and address behind closed doors that won't be aired out in public if as the investigative process begins again. Well, to the Browns, all I got to say is you get what you pay for. You paid $230 million thinking that this guy was going to get you out of your quarterback malaise because you haven't had a good quarterback since Bernie Kosar back in the mid-'80s to early 90s. And you figured, we've had more quarterbacks than years. We need to get this guy because he showed that he is one of the best. Well, now he has shown that he is one of many. But unfortunately, what's going to make him stand out is that he's one of one in being tone deaf. I might have to bring that back, but it's enough. I'm getting ill of thinking about and talking about Mr. Watson. That concludes today's program Spotlight. Now, if you want to have sports of all other nature be talked about, join the award-winning The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. Congratulations, Courtney. You and your team deserves the award that you received for Podcast of the Year from the BS3 Network. The Real Deal with Courtney Harden that comes to you live tomorrow and every Saturday, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on Roku TV via BS3, the BS3 Network YouTube channel, and the BS3 Network Facebook page. That is The Real Deal with Courtney Harden. Join him and his commentary, or him and a guest, or both, live every Saturday, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, on Roku TV via BS3. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, the BS3 Network YouTube channel, and the BS3 Network Facebook page. Now, from sexual misconduct lawsuits, I may add, to a matter that probably is a little more concerning. Tua Tagovailoa and concussions. You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on Roku TV via BS3, BS3TVLive.com, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You're listening to it live on Rearwise Radio, and we will return right after this. Focus on football. Fool! You having those massage therapists focus on your
Poppy J.
You got the option to cry for the government. You got the option to protest. You got the option to keep buying, but this is also an option.
Wise El Jefe.
We're the first tech geeks. We're the first gamers. We're the first everything. Everything. Like Gen X's, we are the ones.
BS3 Network proudly presents the crew from the New York boroughs who never wants that smoke. Nah, they want that fire. Poppy J and Wise El Jefe. Fridays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. Check your local listings for your viewing and listening pleasure. Join the transporter to Hades.
Your butt and gut becomes one.
Join the reformer of hooker whores.
This is my daughter, Placenta Booty Johnson.
Join the bronze god.
Whenever you are in distress, take off your baseball cap and throw it in the air.
Join your very own superhero of broadcasting, Chris Bass.
So whatever color crayon they get, they palm it and do 2 circles, and that translates to, I can beat up black people.
As he takes you through the week's paces in Baseline. Live every Saturday at 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Central, Pacific time zone people, just stay asleep when this is on live and just catch the recording. Oh, I'm sorry. Exclusively on the Chris Bass YouTube channel.
What's up, everybody? This is Information Man and the Information Man Show. Now, what I do is hard, cutting-edge analysis, assessment of what's happening in our world today, whether it be news, politics, current events, cultural issues, social issues, commentaries, what I do over here. Most of all is what we try to do here on the Information Man Show is try to get to a solution to the problems that we see today.
That's right. Join the Information Man as he gives you hard-hitting news, sometimes gives you good sports commentary as well. But basically hard-edge, hard-cutting news. And that comes from him. The Information Man Show that comes to you live every Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central. And he's out on the West Coast, so it starts at 2 p.m. where he is. And you can watch it on the Roku TV, via BS3, and the Information Man Show YouTube channel. That's the Information Man Show live this Sunday and every Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Central on Roku TV. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, and the Information Man Show YouTube channel. Well, welcome back to BS3 Presents the Morning Shift for Cole Johnson. Cole Johnson here. Back to Shift Nation, shall we? Ryan McCarthy, he said on this most recent edition of No Credentials Acquired, he says, the Browns can't void the remainder of Watson's contract until 2027. Hence why I say, thank you, sir, for furthering my point. Hence why I say Air would probably serve as a better ownership group than the Haslams. Cool McCain. Now, he'll probably talk about Deshaun Watson, maybe. I'm sure he'll talk about the game that took place last night in Play Caller Sports Talk. That you can find that on the Play Caller Sports Talk YouTube channel. That comes to you live, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central on that YouTube channel. He says, good morning, Shift Nation. Good morning to you, Shifter. It is good to see you, my brother. And unfortunately, sticking to football, Tua Tagovailoa. Tua Tagovailoa. He's our today's cover story. Man, it really hurts my heart just to even say the word concussion with him. But in the 31-10 loss the Dolphins suffered at home last night at the hands of the Bills, and that was their 11th straight loss in 12 games, the Dolphins were hoping that this would be the worst of the bad news. Unfortunately, it was not. And it's just painful just to even say it. Now, the Dolphins don't play again for another 9 days, but that layoff certainly won't prevent, it might even fuel, speculation about the future of their injured starting quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. Now, the Pro Bowler suffered what was, and people have it wrong, his fourth concussion in the last 5 years. Actually, fourth concussion in the last 2 years. In Thursday's 31-10 L that they suffered at the hands of the Bills, and exhibited some of the same fencing response that he displayed when he was knocked out of a primetime game 2 years ago in Cincinnati, which then was his second concussion in 4 days. Tagovailoa was ruled out almost immediately after leaving the game against Buffalo, his concussion diagnosis arriving unusually fast compared to the typical timeline for most players who sustain in-game head injuries. The circumstances around his latest setback unsurprisingly led to virtually instantaneous calls for Tagovailoa, who of course is married with children, to strongly consider retirement. Pro Football Hall of Famer Tony Gonzalez, he even went so far on Prime Video's post-game show in the immediate aftermath of this loss to say, quote, "It's so sad the guy just got paid. It was great to be Tua, and it is great to be Tua. However, I'm looking at these concussions, and if I'm him, at this point, I'm seriously considering retiring from football. If that was my son, I'd be like, it might be time. This stuff is not what you want to play around with. Tua's future, I'm thinking retirement here." Close quote. After passing for a career-best 4,624 yards and 29 touchdowns last year, the first-round draft pick in 2020 out of Alabama, where he suffered another concussion, signed a 4-year extension in July worth up to $212,400,000 with a $167 million guarantee on it. However, money, statistics, and wins have been relegated deeply onto the back burner because of his head. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel had this to say, quote, "The furthest thing from my mind is, what is the timeline? We just need to reevaluate and just worry about what is to go, like the rest of the team is. Well, we'll get more information, and we'll take it day by day from here." Close quote. Andrew Whitworth, who was a former offensive lineman, Super Bowl champion, he says, quote, "There's so many injuries we can have surgeries for. There's so many things we can fix. But a head trauma and getting knocked on the field, there's really not much you can ever do about that. You can't go to the doctor and say, hey, fix my brain and the damage that I've done to it." Close quote. The risks were already piling up after the 2022 season, when he was concussed twice and dubiously cleared concussion protocol in another game. All right, hold on. Let me pause this for a second. NFL, let's get that straight. When you dubiously cleared him, and that game was against the Bills too, that was a concussion. So you can word it and say, well, he only had 3 concussions in 5 years. No, the dude has had 4. 2 in a 4-day span. Eat that, NFL. That is what you did. You allowed a concussed guy to get back on the field. He cleared concussion protocol. No, he didn't. He got forced out on the field. I digress. The NFL modifying the protocol after that incident and mandating that if a player shows possible concussion symptoms, including balance and stability issues, which he did then, he cannot return to play that day. Goodness gracious. Julie Stam, a clinical assistant professor at the Department of Kinesiology at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, told USA Today back in 2023, quote, There's something about their previous concussion that can make the brain more vulnerable, especially multiple concussions. The data would suggest that there is an increased risk of concussion because he's had these previous ones. How much increase? We really can't say. Maybe it's not actually that much. Close quote. Like many of his teammates, the backup quarterback Skylar Thompson was rattled after seeing his teammate lying on the turf once again, and after what seemed a relatively routine and innocuous tackle by Bills safety DeMar Hamlin, which it was. There was nothing dirty about it. Whose shoulder made contact with Tagovailoa's helmet. Thompson said emotionally, quote, "I'll tell you what, it just makes me sick. I have a lot of love for Tua, build a great relationship with him, and you care more about the person than the player. Everybody in the organization would say the same thing." Close quote. Now, the opposing QB of that game last night, Josh Allen, he expressed concern while current and former players around the league reacted on social media platforms. He said, quote, "You can't help but feel for him. He's a great football player, but he's an even greater human being. He's one of the best human beings on the planet. I've got a lot of love for him. Just praying for him and his family. Hoping everything is okay." It's tough, man. This game of football that we play, it's got its highs and it's got its lows. And that's definitely one of the lows. Close quote. And the game's inherent danger will surely continue to feed sentiments which had already been expressed by some of Tagovailoa's previous head injuries and is expressed here more broadly. That continuing his career isn't worth the risk. Cornerback Richard Sherman, former All-Pro quarterback Richard Sherman, and now Amazon Prime analyst, he had this to say, quote, "I hope he gets to do whatever he chooses that he wants to do. If I'm him, I think you got to go home." Close quote. Sherm, I couldn't say that any better, bro. And I actually like seeing Tua on the field, but you can't mess around with these head injuries. And that concludes today's cover story. Now, if you want a show that talks about God, marriage, family, and life, the Suds podcast is that show for you. Join Ben Southern Jr. and Irene Southern as they break down life in a Christian and a heartfelt way. Suds podcast comes to you live every Saturday and even tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on Roku TV via BS3, BS3 Network YouTube channel, and via BS3 Network Facebook page. That's the Suds podcast. It's live tomorrow and every Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Central on Roku TV. Just hit the BS3 logo on the Roku TV app, BS3TVLive.com, the BS3 Network YouTube channel, and the BS3 Network Facebook page. Coming up next, perseverance. Something that I think Tua should not practice, but something that we all have to practice in most other areas of life. You're watching BS3 Presents the Morning Shift with Cole Johnson on Roku TV via BS3, BS3TVLive.com, and the BS3 Morning Shift Cole Johnson YouTube channel. You're listening to it live on Real Wise Radio, and we'll return right after this. Prayers are with you, Tua. We love you around here, my man.
Eric Butler, a.k.a.
The Intellect, a.k.a. Cullinan. I'm the biggest diamond ever found on land, a.k.a. The Atlantic. Cold, deep, and choppy.
LaToya the Therapist, a.k.a.
Them kids' mama, a.k.a. Jeff's wife, a.k.a. LaToya the Therapist. I am a licensed professional counselor.
Beauty and Brains, clinical and principled, insightful and intelligent. BS3 Network proudly presents Perspective, live every Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 8:30 p.m. Central. Are you looking for something to do on your lunch break? Well, there's a show on the BS3 network that has only 4 words to say to you.
We ready. We ready. We ready for y'all. We ready. We ready.
The Lunch Break, powered by JM&E. Live weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern, noon Central. This is a BS3 Network presentation.
That's right. Stand on the Word. Join the award-winning Standing on the Word as Pastor T.P. Dawkins gives you that word that sends you out for the week. The Macedonian Missionary Baptist Church, they present Standing on the Word that comes to you live every Sunday at noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on Roku TV via BS3 and the BS3 Mothership YouTube channel. BS3 Network YouTube channel and the BS3 Network Facebook page. That's Standing on the Word, the award-winning Standing on the Word. That's live every Sunday, noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central on Roku TV. Just at the BS3 local on the Roku TV app, BS3, TVLive.com, and the BS3 Network Facebook page, BS3 Network YouTube channel. Congratulations to Standing on the Word, winning the award for BS3's most consistent podcast. And I hope, Pastor, you do wonderful work and it continues. Well, persistence, I think, celebrating an achievement, I think it pretty much means that's the hallmark of it. You get a chance to do this over and over and over again, whether you like it or not. And it feels good when you can continue to do it. And it yields the result within you that you're doing something special. So what does God have to say about persistence? Well, that's what today's Light in the Way will unearth. Father God, in the name of Jesus, thank you so much for this wonderful gift you've given us called life. And thank you for being in the midst. Your word says that when 2 or 3 are gathered together, you will be in the midst. So I thank you, Lord, for being in the midst. And I also thank you, Jesus, for being in the midst as well. And may this message not fall on rocky or stony ground with these shifters. May it fall on fertile soil. May it fall on fertile soil within me as well. And may this message not come from me, but through me as I divorce my ego, my emotions, and my thoughts from your message. All of you, none of me. That is what I want represented as I disseminate your message to the shifters. May I be a lighthouse of your word. And may the words of my mouth and meditation of my heart be always acceptable in your sight, Lord. You are my rock, my strength, and my redeemer. In Jesus' name, amen. One of the hallmarks, I think, of Christianity is persistence. Just think about how we go about life. I mean, we bump our heads often, many times, going the wrong route. when all we had to do is listen to the wisdom necessary to go the right route. And even then, the road might be a little bumpy. This road does not promise that it's going to be always easy and smooth. There's going to be some rough stretches and rough times no matter what. But it is the lessons we learn in those rough times that make the good times even better. And so that means we got to persevere. We got to persist, and we got to keep going. We got to keep striving. And I asked Jesus, I said, 100 shows. It's amazing, but what was the lesson that I was supposed to learn from this that I might not have gotten? Or might have gotten, but I probably need more of? And Jesus was like, I think you need to visit one of Paul's letters again. Like, all right, sure. And so I went to Paul's letter to Galatia. And in the sixth chapter, in the 9th verse, Paul wrote to the Galatians, and let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. Again, from Galatians 6:9, and let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. Here's the skinny. We aren't supposed to give up in this life. We're supposed to keep going and keep going and keep going because, well, we have a race to run. And then that's another scripture, and one of these days I'll touch on that too. But why do we grow weary in doing good? Why do we? Well, just think about exercising. Think about when you're running a long distance or lifting weights. In the beginning, you feel strong and you're pushing the earth, you feel. Or you have that gait where you can breathe and move fast and everything is fine. But once you put some distance into the grind, resistance gets heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier against you. Life is the same. And if we keep doing that, we will grow weary because life weighs us down. Any of us. None of us are supermen or women. That is what we have to do. We have to understand that life is going to give us resistance. And we have to have the resolve to push through it. And then we have to get fuel in order to get resolve. Same thing with exercising. So you do the persistence, you power through the exercise, then you have to rebuild your fuel. If you don't give yourselves the proper nutrition, or you don't feed yourself properly, if you just basically starve yourself, but you run ragged or you lift weights, you're going to feel horrible the next time you do it because you didn't replenish yourself to be as good, if not better, the next time you do the exercise. Well, the same thing applies in life. If you don't replenish, and to me, my suggestion of replenishing is say, Lord, in this battle, I need you. Please be with me. The Lord will be with you. He says, if you draw nigh to me, I'll draw nigh to you. That is in the word. So if you say something or do something that's in the word, the Lord has no other alternative but to do it, because he promised that is what he will do. Also in the Bible, it says, let him be true and everything else be a lie. So if it's in the word, it's in his ability to do. So if he says, if you draw nigh to me, I'll draw nigh to you. Lord, this life is a little rough right now. I need a little bit more of your power. I need a little bit more of your love on this one. Remember, the same person who wrote this letter actually addressed this to another group of people where he says, I got this thorn, and Lord, I just need you to pull this thorn out of me. And the Lord was like, no. That thorn you need to have within you, because it's a constant reminder that you need to lean on me, because my strength is made perfect in your weakness. And so God knows. We got to lean on him. He created us. He knows this. So if that's the case, then that means we have to refuel. Now, in this not growing weary and doing good, in due season we'll reap if we don't submit. That speaks to patience, right? So how important is patience in this context? Extremely. There's a song that I remember Gladys Knight singing where I think it was like beginning of second verse of one of the songs, she's saying, nothing's ever easy, at least nothing that's worthwhile. And we all have to understand that the most worthwhile things take a lot of struggle to get. It takes a lot of work to get. And why? We seem to appreciate things more when we have to earn it, when we strive to gain it, when we work hard to achieve it, than when it's presented to us and it's gifted to us. We don't seem to have not saying we don't appreciate something given to us, but we seem to have a different appreciation for something that we strive to get than when we get it as a gift. And so if that's the case, that light in the end of the tunnel, that is the patience we need, because we're going to reap something. We're going to reap something good, actually, if we keep going. If we keep doing good, we're going to get good. All we have to do is just keep going. Now, what determines our due season? Well, God determines that. God sees, I think you've learned enough lesson in this journey. I think you need to have something good happen to you because you have learned a lot of lessons. And it is piled up and compiled up to where I think you have learned enough to where I think you appreciate this here. I'll give an example. So about almost 20-ish years ago, I thought I was ready to be a manager, and I did everything possible to gear up for the position, and I got passed over. Everybody, including the other managers, said to me, "Yeah, you should be a shoo-in." And I worked feverishly in like about a 2-month span to prove that. I didn't get it, and I got salty about it. Now I didn't outwardly project to others. I inwardly swallowed it. And I didn't have another managerial position even offered to me until last year, because I learned the lessons necessary. And I did the job. I did the doing good. And the due season I had was last year, where I reaped, because I didn't give up. But I did give up when I got punched in the mouth in not receiving what I thought was due me, with less maturity than I did recently. So, is there an award for us amid not giving up? Of course. There's an award that we get when we get to the end of the journey, and there's awards we get in the midst of the journey. Because all of those lessons we learn along the way, we better ourselves because of it. We get stronger because of it. We get stronger in other areas because of the struggle of this one particular journey. And that is a beautiful thing when you think of it. You think about how journeys go, where you can keep going, you keep striving, you keep walking, you keep running, you keep that tunnel vision, and you get to that destination. You learn a lot of things about yourself along the journey. Just think about any sporting event, any year of sports, any champion that you have. You hear a lot of them say, well, this particular game and this particular stretch, we were tested. And we learned this about ourselves. And it was this lesson that we learned that propelled us to of the greatness that we receive at the end. But if we didn't learn this lesson here, and we didn't benefit from this lesson, we would not have achieved the big ring at the end. We wouldn't achieve that big trophy at the end. There is beauty in the lessons that we learn along the way, because not only does it prepare us to be the champion at the end of that journey, it prepares us to be a champion in every other arena outside of that one particular journey. That's what it means to be persistent, because you don't know how good it's going to be with the lessons that you learn in one journey, and you can apply it in other areas of life. So persistence is wonderful. Always, always be persistent, because something good will come during the journey and at the end of it. Well, quick word before I do go to Shift Nation and wrap things up. This is the end of the 100th episode of The Morning Shift. BS3, thank you so much for this. Kobe Media Incorporated, thank you so much for this. Shifters, the most important thank you goes to you. Thank you for this. Thank you for giving me the hope that this platform was necessary. And I appreciate all of you. And I love all of you. Now, to Shift Nation before I head on out. Cool says, look, Tua, he just has to learn to slide. And the lack of learning to slide, that's what happened to him. He says, send him to work with the Marlins. Hopefully. Ryan says, yeah, it was a concussion, but they originally told the CBS Silent reporter that he was suffering from, quote, back spasms, close quote. Like, come on. Thank you. Yes, I know. You're referring to the game 2 years ago. Yeah, I know. Then, and I knew that's what you were referring to as well. Yeah, that was ridiculous, man. I'm like, back spasms. You saw the man do this. And he had back trouble? Please. Playmaker says, Damar Hamlin making the hit is ironic in itself. Yeah, it is. And it basically was like he basically was just there. It wasn't like he leaned in to hit him. He was just there, and Tua leaned in with his head. I'm like, I thought you learned that you weren't supposed to do that, but I guess not. And Cool says, look, unfortunately, I don't believe Tua will consider retirement. I don't think he will either. They'll have 10 days for the next game, which he'll probably want to volunteer to play, but I think they should hold him out. Yeah. But, man, I thank all of you, Shift Nation. I thank all of you, Real Wise Radio. I thank all of you, BS3. It's because of all of you that this platform exists and is strengthened. So I appreciate all of you. And that is all the time I have. Thank you so much for the 100th time joining me on this platform. For all of us here at the BS3 Network, Morning Shift, and Comey Media Incorporated, I'm Cole Johnson, here to say in parting, as I always do, if you lack commitment, you will never start. If you lack consistency, you'll never finish. And if you lack love, like the love I have for you, my shifter, you won't conquer. So until we do this again in 71 hours, I love you, shifter. Go out in the world and preach the gospel to the ends of the earth, because you are a blessing. And how do I know that? Because I can say this for the 100th time. You are a blessing to me. And hopefully, I'm a blessing to you. Have a great rest of your morning, great rest of your day, great weekend. And I will see you on Monday. So for 100th time, I love you, shifter. So long now.